So hello everybody, and today you can see that I'm gonna show you my Type 99 model. Now the Type 99, you'll be wondering what tank is this. The Type 99 is the best tank in service in China, and of course in service there's two major types that's in production: the Type 96 and the Type 99. The Type 96 is like a upgraded version developed from a copy of the Russian T-72. But the Type 99 is just like the Lamborghini in a car. You know, imagine that the Type 99 would be the Lamborghini, and the Type 96 would be the BMW of the army armored divisions. So the Type 99 apparently, according to all sources, it is definitely on par with any other tanks of any other nation. It is comparable in all stats, and sometimes apparently even better. Now I'm gonna tell you why some of the features are so much better than even, for example, the American tanks. Now this tank cost, I think, from like 5 years ago or something, it used to cost 1.8 or $7 million per tank to build, and in America to build an M1 Abrams is like 8 million or something. So it's no, maybe 4 million, I can't remember, but it was like you could build probably three of those Type 99s in comparison to one of those Abrams. And being so much cheaper is not that it's not an advantage, because with the same amount of money you can get so many more tanks produced. And just check out this smoke discharger here on the model. It's very well detailed. And the Type 99, let me just tell you, they even got a newer version. The day I think the month after I got this model, they released a new model, which is the Type 99 big modification. It has an even bigger turret, and you see this device on the top here. This device apparently was actually way more advanced than any other Western tanks. This was like an innovation by some Chinese engineer that they decided to, in order to be better, to have a tank that's better than Western standards or Russian standards. And at the time, the 1990s, everybody knew that the Russians were inferior in tank designs than the Westerners. And here are the reactive armor platings. You see those quite often on Russian tanks. They are, modular. You could take them off, and this model demonstrates how you can take them off pretty easily. But of course, this is magnetic. So, but it just showcases how the armor plates work. And that device on top, basically, if it detects any lasers from any other anti-tank weapon or whatever, the system on top would basically receive that signal, and the signal basically alerts the tank crew, and without the tank crew doing anything, the system automatically basically sends a weaker laser signal back at the target, trying to search where the hell is the target, then locate it, then send a massive powerful laser that would blow the retina of the enemy operator's optics, and also of course his own eyesight. He would permanently, or probably temporarily, like blind him basically. And that's a new technology. And countries have espionage, so they know what other countries are doing. And basically, I watched this documentary. The tank designer who designed this Type 99, he was actually 80 years old when he designed this, and I respect the way he could actually design a tank when he was 80 and he didn't retire. Basically, he said that according to like information they gathered, by the time they had that device, which was infrared and laser like warning system, and also it can basically blind the opponent using high powered laser. And that device was into service in China in the 1990s, while the Americans only started development. So partially some sort of innovations were done there, which was actually surprisingly better than Western designs. This is the device I'm talking about, I think. It basically can suppress enemy personnel's vehicles, enemy tanks, it just blows their optics off, so they basically become blind. Now the frontal plate is 300mm thick, but it's composite armor. It's not uranium plating like the, for example, American tanks. American tanks have uranium plating on the front, and Type 99 doesn't have it because, you know, China's not in a war with anyone. But it is noted that the People's Liberation Army does have the technology to build uranium tanks, but there's no point of radiating your crew. You know, apparently if you stay 3 days inside a uranium plated tank, it will be like 3 days equals to 1 X-ray, so it's not the best for your crew's health, and therefore they decided probably not to have it in the Type 99. And you know, when they will have a war, for example, they could definitely put the uranium plating on it, but it's not necessary since China is not in any you know, probability, you know, of entering a massive war that involves the army. So therefore it's not that necessary, but of course they are prepared. If the war starts, they could put uranium plates on. And here on the back of the engine deck, you can see just how detailed this tank model is. It is very, very good the way they just modeled everything so accurately. And note that the whole tank is made of alloy. None of the pieces of the tank is actually plastic. None of it. Not even the machine gun, not even the lights, not even the dust covers on the back, the vents basically. The mesh, you can see they're all metal. The whole thing's metal. I don't think there's a single plastic part. At least I haven't noted yet. And that's one of the disadvantages also, because, for example, the tank, maybe some parts could be really made of plastic in real life, and this model just made it into alloy. But I can't say that is bad. This tank, you can see the external fuels, you could take them off, and it looks pretty awesome. Now the fuel allows you to travel, I think, 500 kilometers in distance on this Type 99. And just for those of you who thinks that real fuel tanks explode like Hollywood movies, it doesn't. Real ones doesn't do that. It just burns, and if it's on the back, even if it hits, most likely it just burns like maybe the tail of the tank, which probably just land onto the ground and probably won't burn the tank. And you see the gun depression there, and the gun elevation here is the gun elevation is almost like a Waffenträger aus Panther 4. You know, awesome anti-air capability here demonstrated in a real battlefield. Gun depression doesn't really matter that much because, you know, most of the engagements happen at, you know, few kilometers, maybe modern days. So therefore, gun depression isn't the world's biggest problem. The Type 99 has the 125mm caliber gun. The Americans, NATO standards have 120. The reason China designers used 125, I saw the documentary. The designer said during the year 1990s, they were thinking, why does Russian tanks have 125 and Americans have 120? And they basically made a 125mm gun and also 120. They came out with the test that the Russians' gun were actually equivalent to the American gun. Here, have a look at the video. You can see that the turret ring there might be a weak spot. If a shot gets there, that's probably the only weak spot. But look at the lower plate and the frontal plate, how well it's angled. And remember, it has reactive armor plating, which is actually an active defense. Just let me finish talking about the gun. Basically, they tested the 125 and the 120. They found out that the Russian gun were actually just on par with the American 125. Now I think it was something like you can put 9 kilograms of TNT with the 120mm gun. With 125mm gun, you can put about 13 kilograms or something. So you pack much more punch. But then the Russian gunpowder apparently was slightly worse. So therefore, um, it kind of compensates for being larger caliber. And but the thing was, China after the 1990s had an actual gun which had really good explosive. So after all, the 125 millimeter gun on the Type 99 is better than the one on the T90 and the T72. So this means that basically this tank is just better than the Russian tank in any way, in terms of cost, in terms of technology, in terms of firepower, mobility. The newest upgraded version of this tank is actually really big in like turret size, and yeah, I'm just showing you here what it feels like on this awesome tank. I do enjoy this model, and I think it's really good. Tell me what you think about this tank model in the game. I mean, not in the game, in the well, just tell me what you think about this model, and just hit the turret traverse. I showed you the gun depression, the characteristics, and also the sound of the tracks. It's very heavy. It's about 3 kilograms in weight. And since I found another video clip I made like ages ago about the Type 99, I recorded ages ago, and since I haven't finished all my points, decided to use as the background template. So enjoy. This model, yeah, is pretty awesome. It looks pretty thick. The designers at the time basically saw what should we use, the Russian T80 design, or should we use the American the Western Leopard 2 style type of design. They found out it was much better to have Western design, but this tank was actually designed over the Type 96 etc., which was actually based on the T72 chassis. It used like the Russian type of design for chassis wise, and of course no shortage of reactive armor plating everywhere. What they do basically, for those of you who doesn't know, and most of you probably play the game World of Tanks, they don't have it in there, but what this armor plating does is that if a shell is fired at it, it would explode outward. It doesn't blow the tank itself up, it shoots outward, and it would basically explode towards the incoming round, and then they would basically compensate and reduce the penetration. So if you think about it, if someone's gonna punch you, he's got a force that's coming towards you, so therefore you probably use something and maybe throw something at him that might reduce the amount of power, basically just reduce it, and therefore he loses much more penetration in his round. This is a very clever technology, and apparently the designer, who was 80 years old when he designed this, he said that this was one of the cleverest technology they had, and it's on par with that laser system which Americans only just thought about it when they already put it into service. It's basically, it has a computer system. As soon as you switch the tank on, if an enemy tank fires anything towards this thing will calculate at the second it spots it. It's like sensory or radar type of thing, equipment. It's probably classified at the moment. It basically noticed who's firing at it, and if that thing is gonna hit it or not. And if it's actually gonna hit, it calculates within a few milliseconds. The computer inside the tank calculates it, and then basically fires something off. The document I read, or the documentary I watched, actually didn't tell you specifically, because at the time they made the documentary, it was classified, how they fired something off that was able to destroy it, and the accuracy was, I think, 20 centimeters. For example, if some shell came missile got launched, RPG for example, the tank would detect the RPG coming towards it, find if it's gonna hit it, and by the time RPG gets close enough, there's some sort of close quarter defense system which is gonna basically shotgun that incoming projectile and destroy the amount of connected energy it has. And that's a really clever idea they have, which is actually actively taking advantage of having yourself actively trying to defeat the thing rather than being defensive. You're basically doing the defensive thing, and yeah, this is just state of the art technology. And whether you believe it or not, you know, they actually have it on the Type 99, and it's so much cheaper than any other tank in the world. For example, it's just I just really feel like this tank is awesome, and especially, you know, they even upgraded the system again and made a massive modification recently. I'm gonna put a few photos in the end of the video showing you that the newest tank model which just appeared on the internet. The turret got extended, the size of it, like the system got upgraded again, and they say under any range the commander can hit a target at 2 kilometers with 80% accuracy while traveling at full speed around any sort of terrain, so bumpy terrain. And as you know, the Type 96, which is like the worst version, cheaper version in China's service, that tank has like it entered the Russian tank tournament in 2014. You might have seen it, and although the mobility of that tank is pretty bad, it has 800 horsepower, but you know, that's not really comparable to the Type 99. The Type 99 is what you would get in the elite troops. So you get in the elite troops the Type 99. On standard troops, which was just supporting normal infantry, would get the Type 96, and the Type 96 basically shot 8 out of 8. It shot throughout the tournament 8 rounds, and of which 8 hit the target. So you can just think about that accuracy there. No other tank in tournament was able to get 100% accuracy except the Type 96, which was in there. And everybody else had the T-72, the upgraded T-72, which is actually on par with the Russian T-90. So in real tank battle, the one who hits the target usually really wins. And remember, the Type 99 also has one thing that it is similar to the Russians, is that it can fire a missile. Apparently each tank carries about 5 missile rounds from it basically fires off the barrel, and the missile is anti-tank capability, anti-helicopter, anti-low flying objects. Basically any sort of low flying objects, it can shoot it down with a missile. That's pretty good. And also it has one of the hunter, or some sort of hunter sort of system. It has most of the modern battle tanks have it, where it can basically spot an enemy infantry object tank from the distance of 8 kilometers, and at the worst situation, for example mist, dust, desert storm, it can still spot an enemy tank at 2 kilometers in the worst scenario. Basically some sort of like sensors on the top of the tank can basically detect it and just basically tell you where's the target and what's what, and so therefore the commander doesn't really have to think about too much, and all the commander gets is all the information processed at on his screen, which makes life much easier for a commander, and that means he can do much more better commanding than, you know, putting 100% of his concentration on finding the enemy target. And that's really a clever move. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and tell me what you think about my information I'm telling you about this sort of thing, which you might not get in any other channel or video on YouTube. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe. By the way, I just need to add something other than what I just said. Basically, a lot of people think that the more the horsepower, the better the tank. In fact, no, because if you think about it, if you have less horsepower, that means you require less fuel, and if the main thing that actually matters is horsepower per ton, not just horsepower alone. If your tank is lighter, what's the point of having a 1500? It might run like a rocket, but what's the real purpose in a real war? And also it's hard to achieve that sort of level anyway, and you know, the normal speed you just require when you're just in a battle is probably 40 kilometers at the most, and basically the the, the, the horsepower per ton ratio is basically the main thing you have to consider when you're looking at mobility. And if you have lower horsepower, that means you require less fuel, and that means less demand on your servicing troops behind, so you don't have to run out of supply. And supply, remember, in warfare is very important. So therefore, less horsepower is actually more um, useful, better, in fact. So that's something most people doesn't understand, and hopefully you understand now.